Hey everybody, I am Tim, aka NOWSKI, on here on my YouTube channel, and thanks for watching another. Yep, there's a cat. It's a cat that just jumped up on my desk. This is my life, and I'm worried that this microphone is just gonna pick up her purring. So here she is. That's Sky. Hi. Thanks for watching another video. This was a bad start. Today, I've decided I'd do a video where I will actually talk about all the different types of NP that you can become. Because I remember when I was a nurse and I was looking into becoming a nurse practitioner, I realized there's like all these different initials behind people's names that they have. There's, I guess, different certifications, different types of NPs you can be. I didn't know which one I should do. So it took, some research, some Googling, and kind of figuring it out, and then looking at programs and seeing what programs are for what certifications. But anyways, I wanted to do this video to kind of clarify some of that stuff. So before we get started, I'll let you know I am an adult gerontology primary care nurse practitioner. That's the certification that I received. I'll tell you a little bit later why I chose that one for me. But let's just start with going through the various types. So the first one I'll talk about is probably the one that when people hear about nurse practitioner, this is the one they think about the most. That's the FNP, the Family Nurse Practitioner. This is a certification that you receive after going through an FNP program. So you choose to go to the program that trains you for the certification that you want. So in FNP programs, you are learning how to care for patients across the lifespan, so everywhere from little kid through adult and older adult. So FNPs are trained in primary care, so it is very primary care focused, meaning that you are learning how to care for these patients outside of the hospital setting. So in clinics and these office settings, you'll learn how to take care of people. A lot of people say it's a very marketable certification because you can take care of kids, you can take care of adults, but that's what the FNP is. Probably the next most popular one is the adult gerontology nurse practitioner certification, and that actually has two specific certifications, that being the acute care NP and the primary care NP. So you would actually choose a program, educational program to go to that gears you towards either the acute care certification or the primary care certification. The adult gerontology acute care NP is trained to take care of patients strictly in the hospital in that acute care setting when they are acutely ill. Whereas the adult gerontology primary care programs will teach you how to take care of patients in the primary care setting outside of the hospital, so in clinics and in these office settings. These programs do not train you how to care for kids, so they are strictly adults. So think starting in the teen years through older adult, and it goes a little bit beyond a lot of the FNP programs where they do some specific training in the frail elder population. So that is the adult gerontology certifications. Again, you can go through an acute care program or primary care program, and then at the end, you take the certification exam for either acute or primary care. Moving on, you can also choose to get a pediatric certification. So there are pediatric nurse practitioner programs. And again, these can be broken down into an acute care program or a primary care program. Just like adult gerontology, you get trained how to take care of people in the hospital with the acute care programs, out of the hospital in the primary care programs. These programs teach you how to take care of kids strictly, so you are not learning how to take care of adults. This is for someone who knows they want to do pediatrics, they want to take care of kids, work in a peds office, or in a pediatric ward in a hospital. And that's what that is. So just like adult gerontology, it has the primary or acute care programs and the certifications to go with those. A little more subspecialty within pediatrics is the neonatal NP program and certification. So I haven't seen much of this where I live. It's I guess there's probably not as many programs up where I live, but neonatal NP programs teach you how to take care of the newborns. So you'll often learn how to care for patients in the delivery setting, the delivery room setting, in the neonatal ICUs, and as well as in the clinics. So when you're seeing these newborn babies, so if you know that that's the patient population you want to take care of, specifically newborn babies, often in these critical care settings, that might be the program for you. Another certification option and program that you can go into is the psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner program, which has a certification to go with that. So just like the name says, you would learn how to take care of people's mental health. So your clinics are going to be in mental health clinics, psychiatric offices. You'll learn about all the various psychiatric meds and therapies that are out there and get to partake in those. And in this case, could be learning inpatient, in-hospital, or outpatient psychiatric care. So I know in the United States of America, that is a specialty that is in high need right now. So I've heard that you can make good money in those programs since there is a lacking of mental health care in our country. So if you're interested in mental health and you want to fulfill a need that our country has, that could be something for you. Another specific form of nurse practitioner that you can be is the women's health NP. So this one is specialized. It's specific to women's health. So you'd be looking at the OBGYN offices, working in those settings, and taking care of patients likely in hospital or out of hospital, but learning everything there is to do about women's health, and then being certified in that specialty. And then the last one I will mention is the emergency nurse practitioner. You don't see as many of these programs because it seems like people are choosing to instead just go to maybe the AGNP, the acute care AGNP programs, or maybe the acute care pediatric programs. But the emergency NP program and certification is focused on emergency care. So you're talking about urgent care or emergency room settings where you learn about all the various techniques of care. But as you can see, there are lots to choose from. And I ended up choosing the adult gerontology route because I had always taken care of adult patients. I never worked with kids in a healthcare setting, so I just knew I wanted to do something that was strictly adult care. And I chose that. I ended up in a cardiology practice. So the AGNP certification was a good one to get because all our patients are adults. Now there are pediatric cardiology offices. So in those cases, maybe a pediatric NP degree would be a little bit better. But in my case, yeah, an adult gerontology. I chose primary care strictly because the school that I'm closest to and the one I went to, Clemson University, only had either FNP or adult gerontology primary care NP. And so I just chose it. And I did that knowing that at least where I live, it seems like the hospital systems and the practices don't necessarily care if it's acute care or primary care certifications because they're going to do a lot of the training on the job. So I'm in a cardiology practice where I see patients in the clinic outpatient, but then I also see them in the hospital on weeks that I'm scheduled to be in the hospital, and we'll round up on patients in the hospital. So I do see the acute care patients, but I also see them outside the hospital. So this practice and the hospital system that I work for did not necessarily care if my AGNP program was acute care or primary care. So just know that you might still be able to work in a hospital with one of these primary care certifications, but it depends on the hospital system and maybe the area where you live. Maybe there are some hospitals that say we only want acute care NPs, and maybe some clinics that only want, primary care NPs. But I mean, in the hospital, I even see some FNPs. In our cardiology practice, we have FNPs, and they see patients in the clinic and in the hospital. So you actually, when you end up wanting to work for a specialty office, so you get your certification and then you learn a little more specific stuff on the job. So I didn't go get some specific cardiology NP certification. I'm an AG, PC, NP. And then you pick the type of practice you want to work for. And some specialties put you through a little like residency type program or like fellowship type program, whatever they want to call it, where they do more on the job training. And maybe it's very structured. Others you kind of just join and you shadow, and they'll teach you the ropes as far as their specialty. And I'm specifically in a heart failure subspecialty of cardiology. So it was a lot of on the job learning. But just know that you can get your certification and then you can still wind up in the specialty that you want, and just know you'll probably go through some on the job training. But I hope that helps break down the various types of NP that you can become. Just to list them out again, there was FNP, there's AGACNP and AGPCNP. There is the Pediatric primary care NP and acute care NP. There is the neonatal NP. There's the psychiatric mental health NP. There is the women's health NP and the emergency NP. So there might be even more certifications out there. These are just the ones that I really know about. The top ones, the FNP and AGNP, seem to be the most popular. Third most popular, I would say, is maybe nowadays the psychiatric mental health NP. But yeah, so those are your options out there. You kind of choose the one that, is teaching you how to care for the patient population that you're interested in. So if you want to do kids and only kids, go for pediatrics. You only want to care for adults, go for the AGNPs. If you're not sure and you want to kind of do a little general primary care of everybody, the FNPs. And then if you specifically want more specific populations like neonatal, women's health, psychiatric, you can choose those routes. And then you take the certifications exams that get you those specific initials after your name. So that was a lot. Hope it helps. And I'll be back with more videos about NP stuff, RN stuff. And in the comments, feel free to leave any questions or comments about that stuff. There might be stuff that I don't know. If you think I should know, just let me know. Hope y'all are doing well, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.